Hi guys! So today's video is something a little bit different. We're going to be testing out Paper Cutz Sublimation paper. Let's jump in. Now, I don't actually own a sublimation printer, and despite this being something that I have put many years and countless hours into researching, I still haven't taken the plunge. Mainly because I don't have the space. At the moment, my big A3 printer and my brother and the various label printers and address printers take up so much space in my tower of printers that there's definitely no room to fit anything else in. So when a friend reached out and offered me their sublimation printer whilst they go home for the summer, I jumped at the chance. The amazing Fee over at Fiery Arts has entrusted her very special machine into my care, and I thought that it would be the perfect chance to try out Paper Cutz Sublimation printer. Now, I'm going to be using Affinity Designer because I don't have Photoshop, but Fee has kindly sent me over all of the printer ICC profiles that I should need. So let's head over to my laptop and start having a look at some designs that we can test print. So we're heading over to Affinity Designer and I am pressing the Print Ready preset, and I'm making sure that I've changed the colour profile to CMYK8, and then I've gone through and I found the actual ICC profile for this printer, and I'm now going to import in the artwork that I would like to print, and I need to size it down to make sure that it is going to fit on those little metal discs. So that's my first step. I have measured all of those and now I'm sizing everything down. Next up, I'm going to make a rectangle that is slightly smaller than the rectangles that we're printing on, the little metal squares and rectangles. I'm going over to the sizing in the bottom right so that I can put in the exact size for each that I would like. I'm then going to duplicate it. I'm then going to change the background color and make sure that I send that layer to the back so that I can place it behind the artwork and then centrally align everything. So I go ahead and do that 3 more times. One thing that I did forget to do before sending this to print is that anytime you have text, you need to make sure that you mirror the design. So flip it so that once it's printed and pressed, the text or the numbers read up the correct way, similar to vinyl. Once that was all done, I aligned everything and then I went ahead and actually filled the page, as I'm always trying to save media wherever possible, and I could fit so many more on this A4 document than just the 3 that I have here. We're now going to go over to print and select color, and I'm going to make sure that the color profile is actually selected for the printer. As I seem to be having problems selecting that here, I decided to try again by going back in and making sure that everything for color management was for the printer rather than the app. Then we're going to properties and I'm going to make sure that everything is correct, such as A4, portrait, plain paper, high quality, and just making sure that borderless is off. And now it's time to print. So we've now got our print out and it's obviously time to test. You can see these look slightly different to how they are on screen. Now, the most important thing when you're starting out sublimating is making sure that you have your color settings all correct. So for this one, it's going to be a good chance that I'm going to need to adjust the brightness and the opacity and all the different levels, but this is just going to be our guide. So before we jump in with using our very expensive blanks, we're going to start with some scrap. Now, I currently buy in my sublimation prints and I have been using Sublimetals for quite some time, and kindly they send you offcuts every now and then in with your orders. These are good for testing out print settings, and I also have a very thin apron that I bought several years ago. That's how long I've been researching sublimation printers, to create something for Chibichi Jr. and one of her friends, and then when the quality came, I mean, you can see me through it. It is that shocking, so I never persevered with it. But this is now going to be great for testing so we don't waste our actual products. So next up, it's time to use that heat press. So when I'm using my heat press for anything, I use blowout paper, which is basically butcher's paper that I purchased from Amazon, and then I just trim it down to size to make it go a little bit further. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to be using these blanks from Sublimetals, and they have got a protective cover on, so we need to peel that off before we press. So I'm going to be using my Styles heat press over my UK press because you need an even temperature, and my Styles delivers that, whereas this one doesn't. I'm also going to double check the temperature with my laser thermometer. Now I'm looking for a reading on the top platen of around about 180 or 175. This is dead on the middle, 178. So what we're going to do now is grab our blowout paper and place that down. On top of that, we are placing the artwork that we wish to press. And then on each of these, we are going to place these little metal blanks white side down. To keep everything in place, I am going to use some heat-proof tape, and I'm going to place that directly onto the paper and just the top of the metal. This should just help it from popping up when I open and close the press. I'm gonna just maneuver this round slightly so that I can see what I'm doing, and then place another piece of blowout paper on top. This just keeps your platen protected from any heat transfer, and now we're going to press for 45 seconds. Alexa, set a timer for 45 seconds. 45 seconds. Starting now. This is obviously extremely hot, so I have some specialist heat-proof gloves here, which I like to use when pressing anything with sublimation. Take off the first top sheet of blowout paper. Now I'm very carefully going to start from one edge and peel and release as we go. So these have cooled down now, and I am honestly blown away at how well that they've turned out, considering I haven't had to tweak the colours or anything. Generally, when you're printing sublimation, as I mentioned before, you have to play around with the brightness and things like that to get it to have a good match to what's on screen, but I'm going to try and put them up now so you can see. This is great. I like how vibrant it has turned out. If you're wondering about these white spaces at the top, that was my error. I should have printed these bigger so that there was more of a surround, so that when these were placed on, there'd be no worries of gaps at the top. So a little top tip for you, always make sure that you print the design slightly bigger if it's going onto something like this, like a coaster or something like that, that you need to size around just to make sure you get edge to edge coverage. Now these two, user error, as in me, I forgot to flip the image. So I'm going to add that in, that is a top tip, you need to flip the image, because if you don't, can you see that 8.5 there is, wow. In the looking at the camera lens, it looks perfect, but in person, obviously, it's the wrong way around. So just like when you're working in vinyl, you need to flip if there's any text. And although not quite as noticeable, here's the little heart emoji that I drew. It's facing the wrong way. So again, you would need to do that. But color-wise, I mean, this is amazing. This has turned out really close to my t-shirt that you may have seen me wearing in my latest studio vlog video, and the colours on that were fantastic. If I was being really pernickety, maybe need to make the image a touch, and I mean like maybe less than 5% lighter, but I won't, because I'm really happy with how this has turned out. You can see, hopefully in person, you can see that on here there are different shades. It's not just a flat black, there are different shades of grey that obviously represent the shadowing on his robe. This one, to the trained eye, you can see there is a minor amount of shadowing on the image. This happens when you accidentally nudge the image when you're opening or removing it from the paper. That's exactly what happened here. It's really difficult with those gloves to get tiny things like this to pick up without smudging, and that's just the gases just kind of redistribute. I mean, it's barely noticeable. I know because I've done it a lot worse on other things before, but it's definitely sellable. So now that we've tried these on metal blanks, obviously people want to know what it's like on fabric to make t-shirts and things, so I'm going to try that next. Okay, so this time I have sized this already. We're going to remember the all-important mirror, so that once this is pressed, it's all going to read the right way up. And I'm just going to create 2 of these, as there's enough space on an A4 sheet of paper to do it. We're then going to head over to our printer, and obviously we are going to be selecting the Epson Eco Tank. And then I'm just going to make sure that we have got best quality for all of this. A4 borderless needs to be off unless you want the size stretched out, which obviously we don't, and we want it on high quality. Okay, so I'm just making sure that we have all of these settings correct. And it's the Epson Eco Tank. We need to make sure that RGB is on, which it is. Filmed by printer. And then I have the ICC profile specifically for the sublimation inks that I'm using. And now we're ready to go. There we go. You can see just how amazing that has turned out as well on these very cheap, very thin polyester aprons. I am absolutely blown away at how close the match to what's on screen is. Like I said, generally it's an absolute nightmare trying to get everything to line up, and I've actually gone through quite a few different third-party sublimation printers that send the work to me because I wasn't happy with what the output was from what I designed. But this is fantastic. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because it's Paper Cutz, but if you can just have a look at the definition and the details there, this has opened up a whole new world of items that I could possibly create for my shop, and now it's got me thinking again whether or not I want to make the investment, because the lovely Fee is going to be back and wanting her printer for her own business very soon. So do I want to take the plunge and get my own? I think the biggest issue is going to be size of my workspace. You saw me crammed into the corner working on my Styles heat press, and there's a bit of a squeeze and I'm forever burning myself and catching myself because I'm wedged in there. But I'm definitely going to think on it. Maybe I need to have a little overhaul of the cabin again. So there we have it. Am I happy that I've tried out Paper Cutz sublimation paper? Most definitely. Is it something I'm going to be purchasing more of? 100%. When I get my sublimation printer. The colours are really vibrant, and somehow it's managed to match what's on screen, which, believe me, sublimators will know that is really tricky to do, especially without having to adjust the image itself. They're really, really vibrant. You've got great definition even on the cheaper, thinner garments like this, which again is really hard to do. So let me know, is this something that you're going to be trying for yourself as well? And if it is, I would love to see what you make with it. So definitely hit me up on Instagram at @GBGDesigns so that I can see. So obviously I am going to be dropping links to the sublimation printer in the description box down below, so make sure you check it out. A great big thank you to today's sponsor, which is obviously Paper Cutz. They have really helped me figure out that yes, I want to dive into sublimation printing. It's just figuring out the logistics of where to fit in another printer in my tiny workspace. Don't forget, Paper Cutz offer all of their items in bulk wholesale. So if you are a sublimating printing person and you would like to purchase in bulk, drop them a line and I am sure they will be able to help you with some special rates for wholesale purchase. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, share it with your crafty friends. If you'd like to try sublimating but you're not quite sure where to start, give me a message, pop a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Don't forget to tune in next Friday when I'll be sharing another crafty video. See you then. Bye!